We got here.
I have a signed Christian Pulisic jersey, plays for Chelsea FC team in the Premier League.
This guy's like the phenom guy, right? He's like the LeBron James of soccer.
Definitely.
I gotta give him credit.
The World Cup is getting started, or may have started depending on when you see this, and that means it's a summer of football. And yes, I mean football, the sport where you kick a ball with your foot, or sometimes feet if you aren't one-footed. Sorry Americans, you're gonna have to deal with my English stubbornness, because it's football, and because this is an Elder Scrolls YouTube channel, I'm going to answer a question you've probably never asked before, or never wondered about. If Skyrim, the country, were in the World Cup, who would be in their team? Their starting 11. We're not doing the full squad because I'm not clinically insane, but we are going to look at the 11 who would start a match on the pitch, and which characters we meet in Skyrim will best fill those positions, from goalkeeper to striker. Essentially, we're assuming that I'm the manager of Skyrim FC. A bit of a weird topic, so prepare your butts for a video you probably never expected to see. Picking the best team of Skyrim characters to send to the World Cup.
But as he falls in love with the objects in the world that his heart most desired, it is hard to escape the supposition that he has rendered himself today the greatest of all time.
So, to begin, we need to go through some criteria first. To begin with, not every NPC in Skyrim, the game, qualifies for our World Cup team. They actually have to be physically capable of playing football, be humanoid and fit on the pitch. So as funny as it would be to have Odiving and Parthenax running, or I guess flying down the wings, it's not happening. That also discounts giants, spiders, animals, ghosts. Basically they have to be one of the humanoid races. They also have to fit the usual age profile of most football players, and while I'm willing to accept the occasional outlier here and there, that means most players will need to fit in the 18 to 35 age range. And this means biological age, because some elves can live for a very long time but are biologically like 20 something. I'm willing to perhaps go to the early 40s because Ronaldo is 41 and he's still playing for Portugal, but characters like Ulfric, Rickard, Tullius, Esbern, Delphine and the Greybeards and so on are too old. Skyrim seems to be missing adolescent characters except for maybe Hiroki, and everyone else seems to be some form of adult. So that's not something we have to worry about. There's also the problem of citizenship. While you don't strictly have to be a citizen of a country to represent them, it can be somewhere you were just born, or where your parents were born, but that means the Solstheim lot is out of the picture. Most identify with Morrowind, thus they would play for Morrowind, or are natives of the island, separate from Skyrim, so Solstheim could probably have its own football squad. That also discounts the Alakir, Curved Sword Guys, and the Khajiit Caravans, since they would represent Hammerfell and elsewhere respectively. Well, the Khajiit Caravan will represent one of two countries because elsewhere split in half, but that's beside the point. But if somebody is actively living in Skyrim as a citizen or student or something like that, I'll count it. I'll also count it if their residency is unknown, so while we know the Khajiit Caravan are from elsewhere, somewhere, taking them out of the running will just assume someone who's never stated where they're from is from Skyrim. Simply put, people don't need to be Nords to be in this team, but they do have to presumably be living in the country. Also, for the sake of ease, this will be a mixed gendered squad. Obviously this is the men's World Cup, the women have their own event, but like, it's way easier for me this way. Finally, there's the matter of formation. And because it's one of the most common formations, at least in the Premier League, I'm going with a 4-3-3. For those of you unfamiliar with football, this means 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 forwards, or attackers. With that said, let's get started, and look at our goalkeeper to begin with. So our goalkeeper will be someone we're assuming lives and is affiliated with Skyrim, the Ebony Warrior. He wants to go to Sovngarde, so there are at least some cultural links, and there's no mention of where he lives or where he comes from, so we're assuming he currently lives somewhere in Skyrim. There are some that suggest he's from Hammerfell, because he's a Redguard, but also because he has apparent links, or at least theoretical links, to a Redguard god. But he wants to go to Sovngarde, so, we'll take him for the Skyrim FC team, and man do we need him between the sticks, because look at the size of him. He's massive, a strong trait for a goalkeeper, but with his sword and shield fighting style and reflective enchantment, he's used to blocking and redirecting shots. He's also got the Thume, meaning he's got a powerful voice to command his box. He's strong, athletic, and doesn't fear getting hurt, so he'll always do some brave goalkeeping, and they always say that keepers are at least a bit strange. Well, the Ebony Warrior is a weird one, considering that, again, he's a Redguard who wants to go to Sovngarde. And he wants to throw hands with John Skyrim, which, well, he knows is a death sentence. Not that this is particularly relevant, but I do like it when goalkeepers wear dark or black kits. It just looks right to me, and the Ebony Warrior isn't all ebony. Now, I'm not 100% sure about his age profile, but he's a prime athlete, we know that for sure, so he'll definitely work. And goalkeepers can tend to be quite a bit older, and still be up there as one of the best in the world. I mean, Neuer's still going. Next are our centre backs, and we'll do these together as a pair. The companions' finest, Vilkas and Farkas. Again, they're both athletic, strong and brave, and because they're brothers and work well with each other almost constantly as the members of the circle in the companions, putting them as a pair just feels right. As warrior types, they'll be combative, and they can go pretty far for jobs by basically just running there, so stamina won't be a problem for either of them. But these two also fill in an archetype you often find in centre-back pairings. For instance, take Arsenal's starting centre-back pairing of Saliba and Gabriel, and these two were part of a defence that was the best in Europe last season. Saliba is the calm, composed one, who is great on the ball, and Gabriel is the one they send out to clatter into people and do the dog's work, I guess. And miss penalties. Anyway, Vilkas is considered to have Iskramor smarts, so we have him as the composed centre-back, sort of the Van Dijk of the squad I suppose, but younger, and then Farkas is the one we send out to hound the strikers. Get it? Hound the strikers? Because he's a werewolf? Ah, God, what am I doing with my life? Let's keep with our backline, and with Whiterun, to pick our right back. And I think Ayla the Huntress is up for the task. She's dogged in her hunt, yes that's another werewolf pun, and thus agile, meaning she can get up the pitch to help in the attack and get back quickly to defend. We know she has a shield because we deliver it as part of the companion's questline, so she can defend, and since she's known for using her bow on the hunt, being one of Skyrim's most famous archers, at least out of game anyway, it's assumed she has an accurate long shot. I'm thinking a Trent Alexander-Arnold profile, but imagine they can actually defend, and can put in crosses by overlapping with the right winger, switches in deep, and generally put in some strong long balls. Will also stick her on corners and free kicks. Since she's a huntress, she's also used to tracking, and we can get her to track down their left winger, and make sure that that guy goes nowhere. Now, because Skyrim is a kingdom known for its strength, I like the idea of a left back who is kind of a centre back in profile, able to one-on-one defend, but also sit in a back three at times to help the team be more combative and defensively solid. This would also free up Farkas, who will be on the right side of the centre back pairing, to cover for Ayla when she bombs upfield doing her overlapping runs. Thus, we're making it an all-white run backline, aside from the keeper, with Irileth as our left back. She is experienced, composed, relentless in her defence, and is known as a great bodyguard, but she's also sent out to lead soldiers to take down a dragon. This makes her pretty versatile, as Jarl's housecarls go, but because she took command of soldiers, she can also be a bit of a leader at the back. She can contribute to the attack against more defensive sides, but also help with forming a rigid defence against aggressive teams. Irileth comes across to me like someone who would never switch off too, especially if you listen to her dialogue with Balgroth and keeping him alive, so it's going to be tough for an opposing winner to get past her, and she's never going to fall asleep at the back post, unlike a certain former defender for Liverpool. Plus, she's a Dunmer, so there's a lot of longevity there. On top of all of that, she's probably someone who can take out the man if she can't get the ball, and I respect the combativeness. With our backline set, let's then look at our midfield. So our midfield 3 will have a double pivot. One will be the more traditional 6, sort of the first ball from the centre backs to the midfield when trying to move up the middle of the pitch, while the other will be a bit more of a box-to-box player. Thus, the 6 will be defensively minded but also be able to make line-splitting passes, while the key to the box-to-box midfielder will be versatility, able to contribute to goals on one end and prevent them on the other. Also, because of all the running, they'll have to have a hell of an engine on them. Now for our traditional 6, I'm going with someone you might not remember all that well. Niruin, the Bosmer member of the Thieves Guild. As a master archery trainer, he's got the accuracy to thread those precise line-splitting balls. He can keep himself steady enough to lockpick, implying he can stay composed, possibly even on the ball. Plus, as a thief, he'll have those trying to press him chasing ghosts with that stealth stat of his, and his partner in the double pivot will be John Skyrim himself, the last Dragonborn, who will also be the captain of the squad. Now we're looking at generic Nord John Skyrim for this. You know, the guy we see in all the promotional stuff? Yeah, him. As the captain, and also as a national hero, he'll probably be the poster boy for the squad itself. Now the last Dragonborn is the protagonist and thus able to dabble in a bit of everything. For box-to-box players, versatility is key, and because the last Dragonborn can do a bit of everything, that would also make him the best for this option. And as someone who can literally stand for 24 hours straight to wait for something, I don't think conditioning is something we have to worry about. John Skyrim's even done plenty of high altitude training on High Hrothgar, so you know he's got an engine on him. Plus, with the Thuum, shouts and commands as the skipper shouldn't be an option, especially because he's probably used to giving those commands through his many followers. That then leaves us with the final member of our midfield, our 10 or creative outlet, our Magician. This typically is the position of an attacking midfielder like Zidane for instance, or Ryan Shirky for a more modern and still French example. So a magician with the arrogance to try the outrageous and the confidence to keep doing it even if it fails is going to be key, and I'm going with everyone's favourite Khajiit, J'zargo. He infinitely levels, so he's got infinite potential. He's young, can keep travelling with the Dragonborn, so he's got the cardio, and is a literal magician. His arrogance will make sure he tries something special over and over again, and we only need it to work a few times in a match to get the goal we need for a Skyrim win. He'll probably lose the ball a few times and will be selfish because, well, it's J'zargo, but since he's a follower he's used to taking orders from the last Dragonborn, the captain. Plus he just about counts as he's living in Winterhold. So with our midfield set, let's move on to the part of the pitch that gets all the cheers, the attack. So our front three will consist of a left winger, a right winger and a striker down the middle. Well, in my mind we want more of a traditional left winger to provide width because Irileth is more defensive, and an inverted right winger because Ayla will be bombing forward. Then we'd look for a striker that would drift into the left so we get two box threats, but I don't actually know if this would work, tactically speaking. I'm not a football coach. I'm a Scrolls YouTuber, so don't really listen to me when it comes to tactics, but either way, I do want a winger of both kinds of general profiles for a bit of variety. So let's look at those wingers now. Let's start with the more traditional profile on the left, which will hold width and spam crosses. We need someone quick, tough to track and accurate at long distances. Thus, the Thieves Guild is getting another representative, since they seem to fit the bill here. While not as specialised as Niruin with archery, I think Brynjolf fits the bill. He's one of the best thieves around, good enough to be a nightingale even temporarily, so he's quick, hard to keep track of, and is proficient in archery, so able to get those long range crosses in. As a temporary leader of the Thieves Guild, he's shown leadership and can provide the experience needed in the front line. I had half a mind to make Brynjolf captain, but as he doesn't really want that responsibility, giving it to John Skyrim, and has spent most of the time as a second in command, especially under Mercer Frey, he'll also be the squad's vice captain, and for once, he'll actually have time for us. That then leads us to our two main goal threats, the striker and the inverted right winger, who has the role of both holding width and coming into the box when the right back, Ayla, overlaps. These kinds of right wingers like Salah, Yamal and Saka tend to be left footed and cut inside to shoot, and someone with killer instinct and speed who likes doing a lot of cutting is our only Dark Brotherhood member, Cicero. Now living in the Falkreath Sanctuary and then later the Dawnguard one, I guess Cicero is technically a transfer from Cyrodiil. Man, I'm getting way too into this. He's described as being slippery, able to get away from literally everyone in the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary, so he should have that bobbing and weaving footwork that'll break ankles. I guess a little bit like Eden Hazard, except with fewer burgers. And hopefully that ankle breaking will be figurative, not literal, although I'm sure if Cicero got the chance, he probably would try to break some people's ankles. He'll probably get the most red cards on the squad, and his madness will probably mean he'll have a terrible discipline record. Oh well, it'll be worth it. Finally, it's time for the striker, a reliable goal threat who is going to be a lot more straightforward than Cicero here. Someone on the taller end too, since Cicero is quite short, fitting in that usual winger profile, where they do tend to be on the smaller but more agile side. A taller player acts as a more effective target man, especially in the air, thus able to get on the end of crosses and head them home. They need that killer instinct and the bravery to put their skull on a line, but also have the finesse to turn in tight spaces. It's also good to have a fan favourite here, since several have their strikers as their most popular players. Think Mbappe for France, even though Dembele is the one with the Champions League trophies, Haaland for Norway, Kane for England and Ronaldo for Portugal. Thus, I've gone with Sorana. She's a fan favourite, at least out of game, tall enough to get on the end of crosses, takes plenty of shots with her frost spike spells, and is capable of a little magic and finesse, with a proficiency in daggers. Plus, as a vampire, it's kinda like having Suarez up front. Actually, why did he do that? Yeah, let's ask Sorana not to do that too. Anyway, that's my starting 11 for Skyrim's World Cup team. Let's do a recap of who I've chosen. We've got the Ebony Warrior in goal, a centre-back partnership of Vilkas and Farkas. Our fullbacks are Irileth and Ayla the Huntress. Our midfield consists of the last Dragonborn, aka John Skyrim, who's also the captain, Niruin, the Thieves Guild archery teacher, and the mighty Jazago as our creative 10. Then there's our front line of Brynjolf on the left, our vice captain, Cicero on the right, and Sorana leading the line as the striker, who will hopefully not bite people as much as Luis Suarez. God, this is a ridiculous video. This is a ridiculous channel. I'm not even going to do a proper outro for this one. If you want to support Skyrim in real life, pick one of the Scandinavian countries, probably Norway, they're a bit of a dark horse, and, well, subscribe or something. Now, as someone from England, I'd like to say it's coming home, but come on guys, let's not be delusional, it's definitely not. Alright, someone sing already.
Bells on